My name's Ujjal Singh, and I want to tell you a story about my father and his fight for the Sikhs to have the right to wear a turban while riding a motorcycle. This story started off in 1972. Two Sikhs were picked up by the police riding their motor scooters and were charged of riding them without wearing a crash helmet. And the Sikh community decided to set up an action group called the Turban Action Committee. My father, Gyani Sundar Singh Sagar, was an activist, and he'd previously fought with various government legislations for the right to wear a turban. And so he was given responsibility for the North and try to raise awareness of this issue amongst the Sikh communities. And my father then decided to buy a motorcycle, a small one, and ride around in Manchester. And every so often he would get picked up by the police and cautioned and given a penalty notice. My father accumulated quite a lot of notices and eventually was summoned to the magistrates' court, and he was given a fine, and my father refused to pay the fine. And the judge said to him that if you don't pay the fine, you'll be going to prison. So he said, that's fine, I'll go to prison. But in the meantime, the then Lord Mayor of Manchester, Mr. Fred Balcombe, paid the fine on behalf of my father. And my father became very angry with the Lord Mayor and told him so. And he said, you've just undone my month's works. He then started to ride his motorcycle again, picking up more violations, more tickets, more penalty notices. And then finally, he appeared before the magistrates again, and the judge fined him £5 and £5 cost, and said, if you don't pay, you'll go to prison for a week. And my father said, that's fine, I'll go to prison for a week. He said, Sikhs have lost their heads for the right to wear a turban, so going to prison for a week isn't going to deter me. And so my father went to Strangeways prison for 1 week. When my father was about to be released from prison, there was quite a lot of media attention, and the community leaders and everybody was waiting outside the gates of Strangeways prison. Myself, I took my dad's motorcycle and waited for him to be released. And as soon as my father was released, the community leaders and press were there, and they put garlands around him, as is tradition in India to celebrate some things. And this was a celebration of my father's activism and his intention and his actions to go to prison rather than compromise his religion. He got on his motorcycle again and started to ride down Southall Street. And every 100 meters or so, he was stopped by a policeman and he was given another penalty violation. And this went on for several hundred yards. And then finally, I got my father and put him in my van and took him home with his bike, as obviously I think he had been weakened when he was imprisoned. Before his violations and his time to come back up to magistrates, 1976, the law was changed, called the Religious Exemption Act, allowing the Sikhs to ride a motorcycle without having to wear a crash helmet, as long as they wear a turban. And this gave them some modicum of protection. When the media interviewed my father after his release from prison, and my father said, this is not only a victory for me, but it's a victory for whole people of Manchester. And this is why the press labeled him as a man for all people. Many of the press featured him as a turban man, Victory Day, because he was one of the principal reasons why the law was changed to allow the Sikhs to ride motorcycle without having to wear a crash helmet. And I'm really proud of my father for what he did. And his legacy still lives on. 50 years later, people are still talking about Gyani Sundar Singh Sagar and his fight for the right to wear a turban. In recognition of what my father did and its historical value, the original motorcycle that he rode in 1973 is being displayed in the Manchester Museum along with other information. And it will be in the South Asian Gallery, Manchester Museum, for anybody that is interested in coming to see the original motorcycle and the information regarding my father and his campaign for the right to wear a turban.